Hello, welcome to the Wellness Lab podcast, when we are exploring new ideas, innovations, technologies, and other topics that will help everyone listening to us improve their overall health and wellness. So today we have Alan Hernandez with us, and he's gonna let us know all about new technology. In this case, we're gonna talk about harnessing AI and neuromuscular interfaces to restore mobility and enhance lives from Synaptic Bionics. So, without further ado, happy to have you here, Alan. Thanks for being here today. And feel free to give a quick intro of yourself on how this all started. It's a really interesting story and inspiring as well. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lilia. Thank you for having me here, for inviting me here. It is a real pleasure to talk about us, to talk about me and how all this craziness started quite a long time ago. But yeah, Synaptic Bionics, and okay, you're gonna hear about Synaptic Bionics, but also Biogrip, which is the same thing, but it's just like differentiating from the U.S. company from the Mexican one. But let's start with
Got it.
Biogrip, which actually was created in 2021, and I joined my co-founder and associate Israel Gonzalez. Back then, he was a solo founder. I joined him in 2021, but the actual idea of Biograph began in 2019. And it's a, like you said, it is a really inspiring story because when we created Biograph, or when Israel created Biograph, he was facing a potential lifetime disability. So he was diagnosed a couple of years before that with Lyme disease. But the thing is that in Mexico, maybe from some people in your audience, it's quite common, but in Mexico, for you to know, it's not very common to have Lyme disease. So before that, he was misdiagnosed with a lot of different things. So he was late diagnosed with Lyme disease. What was the problem? That he began to lose mobility in his arms, his legs, with or among other things, right? But at that time, he met our first ambassador, and our ambassadors are people with, in this case, with arm amputations, patients. And he met our first ambassador, Mr. Jose Luis, and he was like, you know what? I don't know how to build a prosthetic. I don't know how to build any bionic device or medical device. He's an electrical engineer. He used to have a company installing servers and networks, all that kind of stuff. But he was, I don't know how to do this, but I'm gonna help you, okay? Because in my frustration, Israel said, like in my frustration of not being able to do anything from myself, I need to help somebody else to find rehabilitation, you know? So that's how Wirery started. Actually, it was not about a tech company. It was not about creating a business. It was just a way of finding his own recovery by helping others. So I think that that's very powerful because from that point forward, that was the mission behind Biogrip. Without taking a lot of time thinking about it, that was the mission, you know? And I think that that source of inspiration attracted a lot of people, partners, in this case, myself, to join him in 2021. So I think that there's a powerful story behind Biogrip.
Yes, indeed. And as you said, sometimes, and that's part of the objectives through the podcast, is to share information, make it available, create the educational content that will help. Sometimes you are not the end user, but you can help others spreading the word. So it's amazing like how it all started, how you and Israel are helping others, obviously, to improve and with the use of technology, which is another great part of things that we're trying to cover throughout this series. And I will, like, as you said, we can use Biogrip or Synaptic, but I also read when I was looking into your LinkedIn profile before we connected, you also recently won a prize or like a startup competition.
Yes.
So feel free to give us some information, and it will highlight as well more things that you've been doing with this technology in place.
Of course. Yeah, I think it's very important to talk about those entrepreneurship contests because not this one in particular or the last one, but actually since 2022, 2021, we've been in different competitions, and at the beginning, it was a crucial part of accessing to funding because from when we started, it was all about bootstrapping, like all startups. But at the same time, when we started winning like these competitions, was very good not only for the money, but because of the visibility that those contests gave us at that time, which created like a snowball of things or momentum, which was really important for us. So just highlighting maybe not the recent one, not only the recent one, but previous ones, important ones. Back in 2022, we won the Entrepreneurship World Cup in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia, which was the best technology award, and that was like the first big like prize that we won back then. And after that, we won the Santander X Global Challenge, the AI Revolution in Silicon Valley. Also, it was a cash prize, equity free money, so it was really good for us. And also the one that you're talking about was the we were the regional champions in Mexico for the Startup World Cup, which is another international competition. So back like 2 months ago in September, I had the chance to go to San Francisco as the top 100 finalists from all over the world. And I mean, we didn't make it, or we didn't win like any first or second place at that competition, but in Mexico, we were the first place and the representatives of Mexico in this international competition. So yeah, very happy to be representing Mexico in an international contest again.
Nice, kudos to you. And well, that also talks highly about the technology you've developed and how it's helping others. And just for anyone listening, we're sharing below links to your LinkedIn profile of your co-founder as well, and to the website. Obviously, when you go to into the website, you will make the connections on how it works with the visuals and whatnot you have explained there, which is great. But just in a quick, probably explanation, if you can summarize for us, how does it work, how like the human component comes into play with the technology, how they make ends meet.
Yes, yes, of course. Yeah, so basically, just to create like the definition of what is Biogrip or who is Synaptic Bionics, right? So basically, we are in between robotics and AI. Okay, so it's hardware and software at the same time. What we created essentially is a human-machine interface that connects robotic systems to the human body. It is very important to mention that it is a non-invasive solution. So all the sensors that we have created are placed over the skin. And how it works, it's in two different ways. Okay, you have the hardware, which is called Biolink. And Biolink, what it's doing is a high density sensor array that is capturing in real time brain signals that travels through the nervous system to the muscles to create movements. So what we did was translating those signals using the AI, which is the biosync component of our solution. And all those biological signals are translated in real time and we are sending those signals wirelessly to our robotic system. So in an essential way, we are connecting humans with robotic systems. How are we creating solutions with this technology? The first thing we created was a bionic arm, okay, an advanced prosthetic for people with arm amputations. Why? Because I told you before, the first person that knocked on our door was a person without arms, right, with the arm amputation. So we implemented this technology in a prosthetic, but the differentiation or the main differentiator that we have is that what we are doing is making machines learning from patients and not the other way around. When you are using a robotic system, you as a user you need to be trained in order to use that system, right? What we are doing is creating something that will help users, in this case patients, or machines, to adapt to people and not the other way around. So that's part of our mission. So far we created an ambassador program 2 years ago, and that was something really important because there was a businessman in Mexico who was actually our first customer because he bought the first 10 arm prosthetics for people with these conditions. And it was really good because at the end it was a donation because these patients received the device for free, just because they were giving us their time to develop the solution. So that's something that was really good for us, like having real users testing the device every single day. So that was part of the first solution. And but it is not only meant to be or for medical devices such as prosthetics, but rehabilitation in general. Right now, we are working in a rehabilitation device for severe neurological injuries. And we are building the first artificial nervous system that will be implemented in an arm transplant. So that's like, and it's not only that, or there's a broader spectrum of solutions, not only in the medical device industry, but also in robotics. Because again, you're connecting a person to a machine, and the machine is learning from actual human movements. So that could give us like a scalability, talking about like from the business perspective.
Thank you. That's quite interesting, and I love that how it's being positioned and worked. It's like technology serving humans and enabling them to expand capabilities or gain back those lost um, capabilities. In this case, it's amazing that you started with like prosthetics and then the nervous system component, also limb transplantation, I believe. So it's like evolving and going through. And another thing that will be really interesting or important to highlight would be, I know you mentioned Mexico, US. So currently, those would be like the two markets you are serving and working. Are there any plans to expanding beyond that, or anyone maybe? The audience here we have also from Canada. So to know if someone listening to us has a way to learn more or to know if it's going to be available, probably a trip to the US might make sense for anyone who is interested to, but just to learn as well, Alan.
Yes, thank you. Yes, as like you said, we started Mexico, and our headquarters, our team basically is in Mexico. However, we have also a legal presence in the US, because actually, and that was very important for us, because last year we were part of the Techstars Boston program. If your audience don't know what is Techstars, Techstars is one of the top startup accelerators in the world, and they were also our first investors. So that was last year. It was in Boston, so that helped us create our like a presence, or to be in the Boston ecosystem. And from that point forward, last year we received our first pre-seed funding round, and our investors are from San Francisco and also New York, which helped us expand our network there. Right now, the solutions, or the patients, the ambassadors that we have right now, all of them are in Mexico so far. So the idea is we're gonna raise another round starting the next year. So one of the milestones that we want to achieve is to open, actually, like, or expand our ambassador program to the US, because right now something really really important for us is I mean, obviously, besides like helping more people in need, from the technological perspective, is that those arms, those prosthetic arms, right now are helping us gather important data to improve our machine learning model. So it is it is not only about like finding new sources of revenue by selling these devices, but actually those the most valuable thing that we are getting from having more users out there using the prosthetic arm is the information of the data that we are gathering from these devices, which is helping us like improve the model in like very fast. So that's why we want to expand our program to the US, have users there, test the technology out there. And for future plans, we are planning to also expand to Latin America for the prosthetic solutions. But the technology as a human machine interface, which at the end we want to license this technology to robotic companies, we are focusing more on North America and also in Asia in the future, for licensing this technology to other robotic or prosthetic companies to use this interface in their own solution. So it's like two sides of the business, which will be the devices itself, which we think that Latin America could be benefit from these solutions, but the interface as a product, we want to license that in North America and Asia. That's the plan for like from this point forward, maybe like in 2 years, something like that.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for letting us know. And the other question that come to my mind, will these prosthetics and technology for like neural components, limbs, and whatnot, would be applicable for adults only?
So far, yes, but
Okay.
let me tell you something. In our ambassador, I mean, we already have 10 devices out there. We have 7 patients using the prosthetic arm day by day, but they are not the only ones in the ambassador program. And Our youngest ambassador is Mateo, which is a 4-year-old kid. I think that now is 5. He should be 5 by now. But something really, really challenging with, especially for talking about the arm prosthetic, right? Is not the technology itself because it's the same, but it's the size of the, in this case, of the prosthetic, which is really challenging because I mean, we have a lot of electronic components, like, in the hand or in the forearm. So talking about a kid which is really small, that's why it's very challenging. So I don't want to say no, but so far the devices that are out there are meant for adults. But we already have kids in our ambassador program waiting. I mean, we're still developing these solutions for them.
Okay, thank you. And let's say the ways someone might be able to like contact you and what the process will be like, or how does it look like? How is it working? Like someone will inquire and then you have ambassador program. You get like from these specific competitions, you're going to get funding as well. And I imagine so partnerships and sponsors or whatnot will be other things that will come into play for things to develop and scale quickly.
Yes, exactly. I mean, talking about the prosthetic arm, that's the plan at least for next year, because we are still making improvements in the prosthetic. I mean, now we are in the 5th version, which is a final product. It's not a prototype anymore, but we want to be we want to expand that ambassador program the same way we did in Mexico. And something really important is that we were not actually looking for that. I mean, that was one of the most amazing things about this program is that it started because the vision of somebody else, not ours. I mean, we had the vision, but there was somebody else who believed in that mission, in that vision, and said, "Okay, I wanna support you guys to build this impactful solution. So I wanna be part of this. So we want to replicate that model now intentionally, and that's why our strategy of expanding the program to the US because there's a lot of people that will that could be benefit from this program, right?
Perfect. Thank you, Alan. And one of the things, maybe you said it already, but just to confirm, the way you started was because you know Israel. That's like the how it all started for you specifically.
For me, okay. So, uh, long story short, I'm a biotech engineer. This is not my first startup. I've been in this space since 10 or 12 years ago. So I've been a health tech entrepreneur entirely or mainly all my professional life, right? Before that, I used to have experience in working in pharmaceutical companies, and my first startup was focused on point of care devices for early sepsis diagnosis or preventing diseases using genetics and all that stuff. So this is not like the first time that I'm in the space, but something really important is that when I met Israel, which was in 2021, it was right in the middle of the pandemic, right? So it was I think it was meant to be because he entered a program, an acceleration program, in which I was his mentor. Because since I've been here like a long time ago, I started helping. Like I'm a ecosystem believer. So all the time I try to do workshops, or when people invited me to do conferences about design thinking or creating MVPs or how to raise money, etc., etc. I always that's part of my hobbies to help other startups. So there was this program in Mexico, and he applied as Biogrip, and I was his mentor. So that's how we met actually. And after that, we just, our visions aligned. I mean, I have a personal story of my own of why I'm doing this since 10 years ago. My mother was diagnosed with a brain tumor the size of an orange when I was 13 years old. And I didn't realize until a couple of years ago that that moment was very important for me, even though I was 30 years old. Because from that point forward, all my professional decisions like took me into the purpose of putting my talent and my effort, my work to create technology to improve people's lives. So I think that both of us had the same like personal purpose, and now like that's why I think it was meant to be for us to to meet each other. So that's how I got involved with Israel.
Perfect. Thank you, Alan. And well, it's great you're supporting others. And as you said, sometimes these, and the majority of times I find we end up doing something that throughout our story or others, like our loved ones, our things shape, and then we come into the place we have to be, we're meant to be. And it's amazing to hear you're helping others, you're trying to support others. And yes, for me, like quickly personal story, my mom passed away due to cancer. So I find if she had had this type of information, you never know if these little things you learn and you can share with others will be helpful and save others lives.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's great. And one other thing before we wrap it up, it
Mhm.
went by quite fast. I would like just to see if there's a specific, we can name it belief, mantra, or an advice you would like to give others to see how your vision took you where you are, or every daily um, moment. I know certain days might be quite maybe not. I don't know if it's stressful, but challenging, and things take time to obviously build and maybe go from A to C. And other times it can be so quick, but we have to put in some of the work and the grind. So over to you just to see what are your thoughts.
Of course, I think there's two things that I would like to share. The first one is the thing that I already mentioned in my own story, and for me, it was very powerful to find this like this mantra or this information, which is the golden circle. Actually, it's a concept, the golden circle. I don't know if you have heard about the golden circle. It was created by Simon Sinek. Actually, if your audience is more interested about this,
Mm,
there's a TED talk of Simon Sinek talking about the golden circle, and it was very funny because I was preparing a workshop for a company. I was preparing this innovation processes workshop for a company that somebody invited me to do, and I found this video, and for me it was like revealing. It was life changing because it helped me understand why I do what I do, like why uh, so much effort. Why struggling? I mean, being an entrepreneur, that's hard enough. But health tech entrepreneur, like you increase the bar in Mexico. So you keep increasing like variables that are like, like talking about tech startups it's sometimes it's flipping a coin, right? Or it's like winning the lottery. You never know. So it is like, why am I doing this to myself? Like in 10 years. So I figured out that what I shared with your audience, like that moment for me, when my mother had this brain tumor, was the thing that create my purpose. So the golden circle is about that. Is understanding the why. Why are you doing this? And I'm sure that you will find that it's not about the money, because you can earn money doing so much different things. In finding out why you do what you do, why gives you like a very powerful tool. And for me, I just found I just found out about the golden circle like 2 years ago. And it was like this movie, rewinding the movie very fast, and realizing that that moment was very important for me to do what I do. Because sometimes it's like, should I go and look for a regular job, or I already had some proposals from companies back then, 2020, 2021. It was like, why am I joining Biogrip or these guys, Israel, that I just met, and knowing that for the first 2 years I will not receive like a penny or a dime for what I do, for because there was no money, right? So now I understand why, and it is so much powerful. So if you find out like your why or your purpose, that will give you a very powerful tool to actually achieve or what you're dreaming, right? But first of all, you need to know what it is. So that's the first thing. And the second thing, and this is more focused to maybe entrepreneurs, it is like we are focusing like so like very very hard in the solution, in the technology, which is really cool, which is really awesome. But there's a moment when betting for yourself is the most important thing in your startup, and you see it when you start, like for example, talking with investors. And that's something that I learned from my first round that I raised last year. It was like, you know what, the product could change, the market could change. I mean, 2021, 2020, nobody knew that there was a huge thing going on, or there was, we were like months from having this huge pandemic that will change the entire world. So you don't know about those things. But what you need to realize is that people at the very beginning, or investors, are investing in you more than the product. Okay, in your capability of, in your resilience, and your capability of transforming yourself every single day, and once again, and how passionate, or how much passion do you have for what you're doing. And so the thing that I want to share is, yes, focus on your technology, focus on building something amazing that people need and that will change people's lives, but also focus on yourself as a founder, because the founder or the founders are the most important things in the startup. So those two things, I think, that will be really good for your audience to hear.
Yes, and just to say what I feel or think, the same, like finding purpose, as you mentioned, makes a huge difference and will uh, make you feel fulfilled, and that will drive things to happen and then get to other type of goals and to make things just successful. But I think that you nailed it, as you said, like the why is key for success.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much, Alan. A pleasure having you here, and all the best. I know you will be out there helping others and being as great as you've been. So thanks.
Thank you very much.